Hey guys, I'm going to be giving a quick rundown of what the CHC model is. So in my last short I explained that every single cognitive function correlates with one another, thus you can create the G factor. Well, that model works pretty well on a general level, but there are certain cognitive abilities that correlate more with each other, but not necessarily more with G. So for example, vocabulary correlates pretty well with your general knowledge or history knowledge, which correlate pretty well with your memory. And this relationship is statistically significant, but not explained away by G or environmental circumstances. There is some fundamental relationship. The same thing exists for areas of fluid reasoning, or like your pattern recognition and ability to deduce information, or your ability to do mental arithmetic, or how many pictures you can memorize versus how many letters you can memorize in your working memory. These are called broad factors. So in the CHC model of intelligence, there's the general factor, then there's the broad factors. So the general factor is what in the last short we talked about is G, or the general factor of intelligence. Then there's the broad factors. Your crystallized intelligence is a good example. Then there's your fluid intelligence, your working memory, your visual spatial intelligence. And then each of these broad factors has a narrow abilities. That's stuff like inductive reasoning, which is pattern recognition, or length estimation as part of visual spatial reasoning, or vocabulary as part of crystallized, working memory capacity as part of working memory. Those are all what's called narrow factors. And the CHC model is basically structured as there's the general factor, then the broad factors, then the narrow abilities. The narrow abilities each stem from a broad factor, and each broad factor stems from the G factor. This is why when somebody's good in one subject, they'll usually be good at others. Because your subject ability really comes from certain cognitive abilities which each correlate with one another. This is also why when somebody's smart, you see them as smart everywhere, usually. And before you give me examples of people who are really smart but struggle with social skills, that's called autism, usually, or ADHD, or some form of neurodivergence. That's not a problem with the G model. That's a problem with the person's neurological health. Like, I have poor emotional intelligence. That's because I'm autistic, not because my emotional intelligence is just some separate factor. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.